he is 100% worth it.
He takes it to another level. Oh my God, I just fell in love with it.
Thanks so much, Jay.
Blew my mind. And it worked. I wanted to buy my thing.
Jay is, I would say, the Yoda of sales calls, man.
Just talking to Jay, he was so good at just taking what it is, seeing the opportunity and the value and the real reason we are making it.
Talk to Jay, because he got it. He can definitely help you out.
Talk to Jay. You're going to get a lot. You're going to gain a lot.
I would absolutely recommend him for any position that you have.
Jay's definitely the guy.
Give him the chance, give him the opportunity. You won't regret it.
He's good at what he does, so I highly recommend him, and I would book him before he is fully booked out.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Sales Ninja Show podcast, where we cut through the noise, we ditch the outdated sales tactics, and show you how to close deals with confidence, strategy, and integrity. I am Jay Lee, founder of Sales Ninja, and if you're tired of chasing leads, handling endless objections, and feeling like you have to convince people to buy, you're definitely in the right place. Here, we do sales differently. We believe in positioning over pressure, where the right people lean in without the need for pushy tactics, and that's the heart of the reverse glass selling framework. A kingdom-driven approach built on trust, service, and true connection. Because when you lead with value, sales becomes effortless. And when you sell more, you can give more. Today, we're unlocking the secrets to scaling your business smarter, faster, and more efficiently. Whether you're a founder looking to grow your team or you're trying to streamline your operations, this episode will show you how to tap into total global talent and reduce costs, without sacrificing quality. Our guest today is a serial entrepreneur with over 17 years of experience and 3 successful business exits under his belt. He's a founder of Salas Staffing, an elite offshore staffing agency that helps entrepreneurs scale by hiring high-performance remote teams, from VPs of marketing to COOs and CFOs. Frank's teams have helped companies grow lean, fast, and global. Whether it's outsourcing, business leadership, or building effective teams, Frank has seen it all and built it all. His unique approach to offshore hiring allows businesses to save up to 70% on payroll costs while scaling operations across continents. So let's dive into this episode and learn how you can scale your business without breaking the bank. So please join me in welcoming today's expert, Frank Salas. Frank, how's it going, brother?
Jay, I love your intro. And just a quick point of order. I just this quarter got my 4th exit. The check just cleared this quarter, so I need to update my bio, man.
Wow. You should run a masterclass on how to do that. That's incredible. And how to find people to buy your business, right?
Yeah. Or how to get into someone's business and then have them buy you out because you added so much value.
Okay, amazing. You and I need to be best friends. We're going to do a part 2 and more. So I love it. And we also found out that we were also men of faith. So we're going to dive into that. I think a great hook would be to show kind of like what happened to you. Okay. This is going to be a banger of a show, guys. Frank, as he's getting this ready and set up, and we're going to share this in real time, guys, was in a situation that happened that I'm going to have him explain in just a moment that nearly took his life. The fact that he's here today is evidence that there is a God, and there is a God that can perform miracles. So can you set up the story, and then we're going to share this video in just a moment.
Guys, I should not be alive right now. You shouldn't be hearing my voice right now. I'm literally here because of the power of prayer and a miracle. I'm going to walk you through a minute of this. This is on my YouTube video. You can watch the entire breakdown. But I survived a helicopter crash in Colombia last year, and I literally shouldn't be here. But let me just show you.
Survived a miracle. Less than 20 seconds after our romantic sunset helicopter ride in Medellin started, our helicopter spun out of control and we crashed into the same helipad that we took off from. Here's where the miracle comes in. We hit a cell phone tower miraculously on the way down, and we were stuck there for 2 hours.
Ponte el cinturón, nena. No.
No se muevan. No nos estamos moviendo, pero que nos saquen. Y no nos queremos quedar aquí porque tengo dos hijos. Sí, porque queremos salir de aquí. ¿Y el piloto?
Nena, por favor, please.
Tranquilo.
Respira, respira. Estamos bien, estamos bien. Estamos bien.
Todo bien, todo bien.
Todo bien, estamos bien.
Respira. Cántanos algo lindo. Todos pensar en otra cosa.
Sí.
No.
Oh my God! This is as it's going down.
Oh my God! Ama, estoy en un helicopter crash. Le amo mucho. Aquí estoy con la nena. Nos amamos. Dad, I just got in a helicopter crash. I love you. I'm going to hang up and I'm going to go live on my Facebook page. I just want to say thank you to my parents. They're amazing. And we're just here. God's going to save us. I know it. I know God's going to save us.
We could not move for over 90 minutes. I had to personally hold another human being up for 45 minutes with one arm so that we wouldn't fall to our death. Here's our story.
Yeah, man. So that happened last year, and you know, I shouldn't be here. That thing was stuck there for about 2 hours, and for about 45 minutes, I had to hold up with one arm. The girl that was next to me, she had a lot of body weight, and she couldn't support herself because we were at an angle. And if she would have fell down or moved, the helicopter would have shifted weight, and we were like literally stuck in between a cell phone tower and the roof, like just by the rotors. You can, you know, you can run all the simulations. I had pilots reach out to me, and they're like, dude, yo, how are you alive? Like this never happens. How did you get stuck in between a cell phone tower and the landing pad? Like, just go Google Frank Salas Medellin helicopter crash, and you'll just see, like, I was on BBC, that's a rated British Broadcasting Corporation in the UK. I made it on World Star. I was on Univision. I was on ABC. I was on everything. I travel the world full time. I have a lot of friends all over the place. People are like sending me messages like, hey, is this you? Hey, is this you? Hey, is this you? And yeah, I'm a pretty strong dude. I go to the gym, you know, above average strength, I would say for my age, but like, I can't hold up a woman who's 200 pounds up with one arm. And as for 45 minutes. And while it was happening, I was literally just repeating over 1,000 times, maybe 10,000 times, God, give me strength. God, give me strength. Because if I didn't have that strength, the lady falls down, we go down, and we either blow up in a big fireball, which probably would have been the luxury, or we would have crashed and like things would have punctured me and I would have died probably not so fast. So yeah, that happened to me last year, and everything that has happened since then has been an absolute blessing. I wake up every day saying, hey, thanks for another day. And I go to bed saying, hey, thanks for another day. That was awesome.
Wow. What a start to the Sales Ninja Show podcast, guys. Like, God is good. What a miracle. As a former pastor and someone who, you know, believes that God gives a gift of life and eternal and life filled with purpose, Frank, you are a miracle. And you know, congratulations on your 4th exit. Congratulations on walking out of there alive. I mean, I can't even believe, how the heck did you get all that footage? Like, when I'm in a helicopter crash, not that I've been in one, I'm not thinking of going live on my Facebook. I'm like, and who caught the footage of it happening outside of that?
So that was me. Like, you know, we were going up there. I have a record label. It's one of my businesses, and my girl that I'm dating, she is an artist on the record label, and we're gonna go just do some like lifestyle photos. And I thought it'd be cool to have some stuff. So, you know, as soon as the helicopter took off, I was taking footage, and it started like not even 10 seconds passed, and it started, you know, swirling around like that. And so I wasn't actively, you know, let me record this. I was recording this because I thought we were gonna have a nice takeoff. It was gonna be cool, and it just happened to crash, and I didn't know the little camera was going on. And as far as like going on live on Facebook, I thought I was gonna die, and I just wanted to kind of say goodbye, but also like in that moment, like you could, if you see the video, like my hand was shaking like this because I was like freaking out. But I was like, you know what? Let me just take this opportunity to shift the energy and shift the spirit, and just say, nah, man, God's got us. God's got my back, and this will be proof. That's kind of what I was thinking in real time, and like manifesting that situation. But man, I'm not gonna lie, dude. Even though because I had faith, man, I was scared, dude. When you're up there for 2 hours, and this was in Medellin, Colombia. If you guys have never been to Medellin, Colombia, it's a beautiful place. It's in a valley, and at night, so this was the sunset helicopter tour. We were there for 2 hours, and at about 6 p.m., which is when sunset is, the wind starts to really pick up and the helicopter started swaying. And I specifically, and I'm on a video call with my parents. Like I said my goodbyes, I said thank you, I said everything. But as it's going, the helicopter swaying because of the wind, and I'm just like, tell my dad, hey dad, I don't think I got much longer. The helicopter is swaying, and I think this is it. And he was just like, keep the faith, keep the faith. And like he was just praying over and over. And man, it was tough. It was tough. And I was the only guy on the only man on the helicopter. The pilot, as soon as we crashed, the dude jumped off. If you go back to the intro video where you see somebody crawl down, that was the pilot. He didn't look back. He didn't give us any indirection. He just, boom, he just took off. I call him Spider-Man now, because he just like climbed down the thing really quickly. No instructions. And all these, Latino women are freaking out. And I'm freaking out too. I'm not saying, oh, I'm like super cool, calm and collected, but I'm like, actively trying to calm down everybody so like we can just chill. But yeah, man, it was a trying situation, but like I had this feeling in my gut where, man, you'll be all right, you'll be good. I walked away with very minimal injuries. Obviously I had to hold up a girl who's 200 pounds with one arm. I have many muscular and ligament issues with that, which I'll gladly take versus the alternative. But yeah, I won't be winning any bodybuilding or strength training competitions anytime soon. I'm still recuperating from that, but yeah, I'm just glad to be alive and glad to be here.
Yeah, that's insane. Holding up another person that's over 200 pounds with one arm for 45 minutes, like even doing that for 30 seconds, if not 1 minute, is so difficult, right? And I think you attributed to, God giving you that strength, and you praying hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of times, God give me strength, God give me strength. And even your dad, in the midst of those last maybe dying moments of the helicopter swing with the sun going down, the wind picking up, the only man, the helicopter, everyone freaking out, God giving you comfort, peace, strength, miracles, and, basically holding time so that people can get there to help save you. Like a lot of worse things can happen in life. Like the fact that you got stuck in that telephone pole or whatever that thing that you got stuck in, that's a blessing. So oh my gosh, what an intro. That in itself is the episode. Like, so how do you keep faith as a man of faith when fear is kind of like you're being overridden by fear? How do you, like, you were in that moment, so that's a true test of faith.
Yeah, and I keep that's a question I keep asking myself. And in the moment that I was in calm and peace, I was scared. I'm not gonna front say, dude, I was terrified. But I just had like this feeling, like, I don't know, something was there and I was just gonna be all right. And I was like, man, I just feel it. And it was just faith, man.
How has that affected your life today with that, you call it a second chance, maybe a second life? Like, do you kind of like look over and say, okay, no big deal? Some people walk away, say that, it was meant to be, or other people say, no, man, I should have died, so I have a second chance to do, to fulfill such and such mission.
Yeah. Well, I guess one of the parts that I was really comfortable with the situation is that if I would have died at that time, like I have had my own business since I was 20 years old. So I've followed all my dreams. When I was a little kid, I wanted to have this lifestyle that I have now, which is traveling the world. I didn't want to have kids up until a certain age. I'm, enjoy my bachelorhood, having a good time, and, traveling the world, have lots of adventures, lots of experiences, very little responsibilities right now. Would love to get into that in the next couple of years, but right now in this chapter of my life, having a blast and everything's going good so far. So at that moment in time, I was like, man, aside from not have lived long enough to have kids and get into a family and situation like that, I've pretty much done everything that I've wanted to do. So if this is all that I get from life, it's a good one. I'm cool with it. That's a good trade.
When you're faced with this success as a young man with these businesses and 3, now 4 exits, congratulations. When you're facing death, you see in scriptures, naked I come, naked I go. We can't take these things with us. What became the most important thing in that moment of that helicopter crash?
Just knowing that if that was the last moment, that I completely went in on it. Cause like to do all the things that I have achieved, and to me, to other people, it might be success. I don't think it's success, as I have a lot of things that I want to continue to do. But the things that I have achieved that are in the record books, that are etched in stone, it took a lot of work to get there. And no matter what, if I knew that I was going to go out at that age last year, I still would have done it because it's what I wanted to do. It's what I find joy in. So I'm very blessed to have found entrepreneurship. I'm very blessed to have found business, consulting, and helping others through business. And it was just like, man, it was worth it. I wouldn't have changed anything. For me, that was the biggest thing, is I wouldn't have changed anything. I lived life on my terms. I've always, in my entire 20s, my friends would call me up. They're like, "Oh yeah, I'm on my lunch break. What are we doing?" I'm at the sauna. I'm like the youngest guy here by 40 years at the Lifetime Fitness in Colleyville, Texas. If you're from Texas, that's like a really wealthy suburb. And I'm just hanging out here. And yeah, man, I'm probably gonna, hire some people or do some deals. I don't know, and have a nice lunch. So it's like I have such a unique life experience for me that I chose, that I wanted, that it was cool. I was cool with that thing. The faith that I was going to get out of it, it was there, but there's faith and there's being quote unquote realistic. It's kind of like living in both at the same time. But I always had faith. I even said it on the video, like as I'm in a helicopter dangling for my life, man, God's got us, man. He's got my back.
I heard you say that, like God's got us and God's gonna get us through. I'm like, that's incredible that in that moment, at that time, you can even, literally from your voice, from your mouth, from your heart, utter those words, because a lot of times, even people of faith, that might not be the first thing that comes out of their mouth.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the video, that wasn't the first thing that came out of my mouth. If you look in the video, I dropped an S-bomb.
No, I didn't hear it, but I would have dropped a lot more bombs. But yeah. So, because when you said live life to the fullest, I think of John 10:10. It talks about Satan in the first part, where it says Satan he has three reasons for his life mandate for you: steal, kill, and destroy. Not a very nice one. And in John 10:10 B, it says Jesus comes to give life abundant, eternal, and life filled with purpose. And so, to live your life to the fullest is amazing for a young guy who is able to be at the sauna while people are working. Let's segue into not 3, but now 4 successful exits. You had all these different exits, and people who are watching either live or on the replay are like, what is that? And how does that work? Can you walk us through maybe one of those experiences, maybe the most recent one?
Yeah, so I'll walk you through the most recent ones, and just for those of you guys who aren't aware of what this actually means. So when someone says they exit a company, they either themselves built a company and sold to somebody else, ideally for a lot of money. Sometimes you don't do it for a lot of money. Sometimes you do it to get out of a deal, or maybe you owe a favor, or maybe you're just done with that business, whatever that may be. So in this last example, somebody had a business. I didn't start the business. I came in as a consultant and a service provider with my outsourcing firm, Sellable Staffing, and they were in the real estate business. We came in and we brought in very, very key specific people, and we helped them grow from 3 states to now 7 states. And a lot of value was added there. A lot of systems were added on there. At a certain point, they were like, hey, this is really good. I now have this infrastructure that I didn't have, and I don't want you inside my business anymore because you've already done your job. Thanks for getting us to this point, but we don't see a reason for you to continue to participate in this upside because we kind of got it from here. You've done a great job of building the team, the infrastructure, all that. Here's some money, go away. I was like, oh, boo-hoo, see you later. And so I took some money and I walked away. And so that's one example of how a consultant can get equity of a business. And then from there, the business owner, if they feel like it, can decide to buy them out.
So when you have an exit like that, and you're someone that helps scale a company, when you get equity, is that like a lifetime thing, or is it a one-time thing? Is it a payout? How does that work?
Yeah, great question. So the way we structured this particular deal, and I can't get too insanely specific because I signed an NDA. But the principle is, if you're a business consultant, you can go to any company and say, hey, I'm going to work with you. My typical fee is this. So my fee is $5,000 per hour. If you want to learn how to outsource and just get the brain juice in here, you pay me $5,000. I'll help you. Okay, hire from this country, this person, boom, boom, boom. Here you go. Good luck. Sayonara. See you later. And then now you have the strategy, but now you got to go execute on that. It's going to cost you a lot more to have somebody like me, who is one of the very few. There's probably less than 1,000 people like me in the world, maybe even less than that. So I want to have that grain of salt. Like I have some super niche down expertise that adds value to businesses. So they bring me inside of the business, and instead of paying me a salary, they give me equity, and I come in and I roll up my sleeves. I always got my sleeves rolled up, and then I do the work and I start implementing frameworks, systems, protocols, people, teams, strategies, leadership, all these kinds of things, so that business has more value. So as this business starts to grow and grow more value, that equity that you have, it also starts to grow. Because let's say the business is worth, $1 million. When you come in and you own, to make it easy, 10%. Well, that of that $1 million, your part is worth 100 grand. But if you raise the value to where it's, only, 3 million, well, now your value isn't 100,000, now it's 300,000. And if someone wanted to buy you out, now you would have to start to have a different conversation of, hey, like, what is this really worth it to buy me out? And so if you look at the M&A, mergers and acquisitions, or the VC spaces, they have this thing what's called EBITDA. So it's an acronym for a bunch of stuff that I don't even have memorized, but they come in and they assess your business. Okay, how much is this after you pay everything? After you pay everybody taxes, how much money is left over? So let's say the business has I always hate people say, oh, my business I'm a 7-figure owner and my agency does 3 million. All right, so you probably make about 600 grand to 400 grand a year, right? Awesome, cool. Nothing wrong with that. That's fucking awesome. Excuse me. That's pretty awesome. I don't know if we can cuss here. Sorry.
That's okay. You can.
That's awesome. So that's awesome. But you don't make $3 million a year. Your business generates that revenue, but because of all the expenses, now you're here and there. So they would base the valuation off of the take-home final everything, not off the 3 million, but off the 400 to 600,000, and then based on that, they would typically pay you a multiplier. Sometimes it's 1. For the year, sometimes it's 2 or 3. But if the systems are strong enough and in place, and that's what we do for our companies, is we help them build up strong systems, protocols, people, frameworks, infrastructure in place, so where I'm not required to be here. And because I'm not required to be here, I can sell you the system. I could say, hey, Jay, here you go, buy this. I don't need to run this. Just buy this from me, and I get a higher multiplier based on that.
Genius. I love it. Everything resonates. Everything makes sense. And I have been learning a lot more about M&As and EBITDAs from like mastermind mentors that I have that are doing this and own 17 plus businesses. Nice. So this is amazing. So what led you to start Salas Staffing, and where did it all start? Like, were you like a kid selling lemonade, stand? were your parents entrepreneurs? How did it all start?
I'm the first entrepreneur in my family, like most entrepreneurs. And yeah, I've always had a knack for business. I remember one of my first businesses, was selling burned CDs to my homies. And I guess this was in a different day, back when we didn't have a lot of those rules. This was like in the late 90s. So don't come at me. This was like before LimeWire days, stuff like that. So back in those days, I begged my dad. I was like, Dad, I need a CD burner. I need a CD burner. He dropped a couple $100, or maybe, I don't know what he paid, but he got this thing for us. And he used it too for his like home videos and stuff like that, whatever he was doing. So I ended up going to my homies and saying, hey, I'll make you the perfect mixtape just for you, and I'm going to get the highest bit rate for this. So not like that static. So no DJ saying, DJ who can. No, it comes on the beginning, at the end of the song.
Clear sound.
Yeah. We're going to remove all that completely. So you have just like the highest quality track, and you can then have your own mixtape. So I would do that. And that kind of got me started. It got me understanding, okay, how can I have my USP, my unique selling proposition? How can I start to differentiate myself in the marketplace? How can I not become a commodity? How can I take a commodity and actually make it a boutique upscale service? And at a younger age, I always noticed that, okay, if you do the extra little things that's hard to do, people call it now building a moat, then it's really hard to compete with you. You and I were having a conversation off camera about another firm which is doing awesome. They're doing great. And you mentioned that they may or may not be a competitor. I never see anybody as a competitor because no one specifically does exactly what I do. Our moat is really, really big. And so I'll explain to you, because you asked me how did I get into Salas Staffing. So I dropped out of college to start my first business. It was in the beauty business. I did that for 4 years. I franchised it very young. Had my first franchise at the age of 23. And I only started thinking about this because I'm very blessed to have a mentor of mine Her name is Mrs. Anna Phillips. She's the founder of the Lash Lounge, which is an international franchise, and they do eyelash extensions. And I had a beauty business. We were doing spray tans. She was my neighbor, and you know, yeah, she was my neighbor, at my retail neighbor. And I just opened up my business, and I got there pretty early. She was getting early, but she was like a bazillion months pregnant. Like, she was huge, and she was walking around all these folders and stuff. And I'm like, I'm a Southern gentleman from Texas. I run out of my studio and I go to her. I was like, Miss, can I help you? Like, where's your man? Like, what's going on? Like, let me help you put this inside of your. I didn't know who she was. And she turned out she was my neighbor, and she had 3 locations at the time. And she said, was telling me what she was doing. She said, "Oh, you're the new guy. Awesome, cool, perfect. Maybe we can trade services, eyelashes, spray tan, go complimentary." So I started to learn about affiliates and complimentary trade partners. Like, okay, this is really cool. I never knew about that way as a way for a client acquisition channel. But the biggest lesson that I learned that actual day, she was like, "Hey, you know what I'm doing today?" I'm like, "What?" She's like, "I'm actually writing an operations manual because I'm going to be writing an FDD, a franchise disclosure document." I was like, "Wait, that sounds interesting. That sounds important. Do you need help? Can I help you with something? Can I move? Like, I'm a strong guy. Can I move stuff around for you? Like, where can I be useful?" Because she's gonna be writing an operations manual to sell for. I think I don't know. I want to say it's at least. I would say at least a quarter. I don't know what it is now. It's at least $250,000 at the time to buy a franchiser. So she was gonna make that system that I was talking about earlier. She was gonna make that to sell somebody for $250,000, and they had to pay her a royalty. That's probably an important document, and I need to know what goes in there. So I saw what she was doing. I said, "Oh, I'm very adept. I'm really good at learning. That's my biggest skill. My name online is the talented Mr. Salas. I'm not that talented. I only have one talent, and that's I'm skilled at becoming skilled. Put me anywhere, and I'm going to automatically get the experience points in. I'm going to get that skill up. I'm going to level up automatically. I just
like
put
on
the work in.
Marvel Avengers, the Rogue, you just absorb everyone's superpowers.
Yeah, but a little slower than her. She's a lot more faster than me. I take a little bit more time, and so that got me thinking systems based. And so I franchised my business, and then I exited that business, and I got into real estate. That was great, and I moved towns. Went from Dallas, Fort Worth, where I'm from, to Austin, Texas, and I got in the real estate game. And I picked up the paper one day, and I saw that the real estate market is booming. I was like, "Oh, well, I'm good at business, right?" And I'm a young kid at this. I'm in my mid-20s, thinking, "Okay, I just had one exit. Cool. Let me just get into another business." So when you're young and you have success, you brainwash yourself to become delusional that you're really good at this. And so I had that faith in me that I could get this done, and I had some struggles just like any other business, but I ended up doing very, very well. And that's where I learned marketing. I learned it in the spray tan business, but I really mastered marketing because and automation. So there was like this trick back in the day. Realtors don't try this now because you're not going to be able to eat off of it. But back in the day, I'm talking 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, there's a website called Craigslist, and in Austin, there was a lot of transplants coming in. And so they would come to Austin and they would first find a place to rent to see if they like Austin. Oh my God, I'm moving to Austin. I don't know if I'm going to like it. Let me rent. Okay, perfect. So I would then I would go up market, and I would only market the higher cost apartments because that would give me a higher quality clientele, or a clientele with more budget. So I would then market these, and I would going back to the USP, how to differentiate yourself. A lot of the agents were lazy, and they would use the same exact photos that were provided by the apartment complexes.
Yeah.
I would go with my tablet, and I would have up to the date minute with promotions. Okay, this place is giving out 6 weeks free rent. This place is giving out 6 weeks free rent plus $1,000 gift card from Amex. Let me take that proration. Let me discount that off the rent, and let me then market that so I had the cheapest rate for this higher quality thing with my own custom photos and videos that I could text people. And then I would have my executive assistant overseas. You mentioned how I got into offshore staffing. Backtracking a little bit. So in my very first business, the spray tanning business, because I was really good at marketing, I'd get a lot of calls and I couldn't field them all. So I looked into the receptionist, but I didn't have enough profit margin to hire an American receptionist in Texas. So I just had a thought. I was like, because I worked at AT&T, and I was like, you know what, man? Every time I call at AT&T, a Filipino answers the phone, man. Well, if it's good enough for AT&T to do that, like let me try to figure this out. And this is before John Dumas. Shout out my boy John with onlinejobs.ph. That's a great place to start if you're getting started in the outsourcing space. Yeah, he's a colleague. Yeah, for sure. So,
Cool.
And he's great. Make sure you go check him out. If you're just getting started, that's one of the best places to get started. Now, to scale, you're going to need more qualified people, and those people typically aren't there, and also not in the Philippines. There's way more desirable markets to hire from the Philippines. That's another conversation. That's on our
Okay.
episode number 4, number 3, number 7, whichever one we do. Maybe our unique masterclass we do together. But going back to this, I ended up hiring a receptionist from the Philippines, and I was paying her $300 a month to work for me full time, and she would pick, and I got her from a busy dentist office. She was managing the phones for a franchise of dentists who, and I think they had like a couple locations, 4, 5, 6, 7 locations. So she was used to a high call volume. So she would pick up those phones for us, and then she would start doing that. And then word got out that I was doing this weird offshore remote thing with my neighbors, and people came to me. They're like, "Yo, Frank, can you do this for me?" So I did that, 1 to 5 a year, every now and then. And then I had several executive assistants. My thing is I used to train executive assistants for years, 2 or 3 years. They'd work with me, and then I sell them to you for a premium, 25, 30K. Boom, here you go. Hey, like I've worked with this person for the last 3 years. They're good. They're excellent. I've personally, whipped them into shape. They're legit. Everything, every little software, Go High Level, Trello, Asana, all that's, they got it. They're good. Battlefield tested by. So I did that for a while, and then I started doing that in my real estate business. People started seeing that again, and then going to the staffing business, or the outsourcing. There was an app that came out in 2015 called Periscope. It was Twitter's answer to live stream, and I started promoting my skills as a business consultant and I started cycling through that. I was even on there showing people how to shave and stuff like that with a safe straight edge razor. And then one day, I started showing how I outsource and automate my marketing. Because going back to the Craigslist thing, I had all these, posts. I had 300 posts. I post up 150 a day, and I would alternate those every single day. And I just had creativity. My creative was unique. My volume was up there, and my pricing was the lowest. So you couldn't compete with me, and I would get all these leads. Then I would nurture them, convert them into buyers within 2 to 3 years. And that's how big my clientele in the real estate game before I exited that. So, at that point, I was showing how I automated all that and how I didn't do that. How all I did was went and I took photos, charm the leasing agents to get me to show the best spots and like the best shots, all that stuff, and sell, shake hands, kiss baby, sign contracts. That's all that I did. And so once I started showing that, people were like, "Ooh, can I get that?" And I noticed that when I was showing that back end process, there was a couple thousand people in the room, so I wasn't prepared for success. So I said, "Hey, can you just like put in if you're interested in this, I help people do this, put your email in the chat." And they did. And so I was like taking screenshots on my phone as I'm live, and sending that to my executive assistant. And I still to this day have a Google Drive folder with a lot of these photos where that's how I initially got started into all of these initial leads. And then from there, people really started hitting me up for the outsourcing and getting executive assistants. That's kind of where I really got started, because people saw me build this infrastructure for me, and they're like, "Ooh, well, I want that for my business." And so it's a very custom build to them, because no business is the actual same. No business is the identical clone of each other. So that's how I got into the outsourcing, and that was in 2016. I did it informally from 2010 to 2016, but 2016 it really started to hit off. From 2016 to 2020, just before the pandemic, I really started working with a lot of smaller businesses to really perfect our deliverables. And once I felt confident, I went up market and started offering it to medium-sized enterprises. These are people that had the bankroll, the budget, and the need where we add the most impact. And so looking back, I probably should have started there, because it was very difficult to work with small business owners, but it's super easy to work with medium-sized enterprises.
Genius. Because when I work with clients that are stuck at like 100, 250, $300,000 a month, they already have resources. They already have a budget. They already have a team. I was training a sales team of like 10, 5 appointment setters, 5 closers. And when I was auditing their sales calls, I'm like, they're like pushy. They're using like old tactics and, just tweak a couple things here, do a little role playing here. You seem like you really know and understand the operations side and the business side to grow and scale, having worked with so many companies and having trained all these, executive assistants and these offshore teams that I guess would be from not only the Philippines, Latin America, Eastern Europe, What are some of the key strategies that you use to hire and manage talent globally? Because a lot of times when I work with some of the VAs that are from different parts of the countries, they don't understand the language patterns. They don't understand the isms. They don't understand the personal connections, even on not only on the phone, but also on the DMs. What are the key strategies that you use to hire these talent to actually be able to have the skill sets to be able to grow and scale these companies?
Phenomenal question. And just a clarification, we also hire from the Caribbean. We also hire from Africa. We hire
Nice.
in all over the world. We're in 127 countries right now, I think.
What?
126, over
Wow.
120, something like that. So that's when I mentioned the Philippines. It's a good starting point, but beyond the entry level, it's really difficult to. If I had the choice, I would hire somebody else. I would hire from another country. And to answer your question, a lot of those isms, a lot of those Westernisms, you have to train for it. So anybody can go out there and find people. And going back to that moat that I mentioned, what I did is we have a moat, which includes, okay, we don't just find people, we bring them into our universe, we train them, we vet them, we screen them, we put them in missions, we battle test them to make sure they got what it takes. Also, we don't just hire VAs. That's the other thing that a lot of people in business think, oh, let me just hire a VA. Let me just put a VA on it. VAs are serviceable to a point, but when you're actually scaling a business, when you have an actual product, you've already have a product market fit, a VA might help you, but you got to manage a VA. You got to tell a VA what to do. The best example that I have is like, okay, there's a fire here, there's water here. A VA is going to say, hey, boss, hey, Jay, there's fire, there's water. What do I do? There's like, you pick up the water bottle, put it on fire. They pick it up. They're like, this one? You want me to take this one? So you have to like manage every little microprocess right there. That's a VA. Now, if you have a product market fit, you don't got time for that, man. You don't have time for that feedback loop. If you have an actual product market fit, if your business is a unicorn, and that's the other thing I want to mention is a lot of people already have a unicorn and they don't know it. They think because it's not worth billions of dollars, it's not a unicorn. Guy, gal, if you have a business and you have paying customers and a product market fit, and all you need to do is ramp up your client acquisition, you are a unicorn. Very few businesses get to that actual point. So with that being your baseline, having awesome people at the mid-level, at the senior level, at the executive level come inside your business is going to add the most impact. So we don't hire VAs. We find qualified talent. We then ideally build teams around a function. So you're in the sales space, you help a lot of salespeople. Your sales teams might be phenomenal. You might need a sales triage team, which would include a customer success manager to make sure everyone's having a good experience. Hey, Jay, did you get the paperwork? Awesome. Hey, whenever you sign that, no pressure. Hey, this is how you do that. If you need me to get on the phone with you or walk you through it on a Zoom call, perfect. Just give me a call. I'll walk. That person needs to be there. Then you have the sales admin person. Then you have the project coordinator or the transaction coordinator who manages all the contracts, the whatever you got to turn in to get qualified, who's having all that. Then you have the customer experience manager who's managing, wait, what's their onboarding, what's their indoctrination period? Like that sales triage team should be led by a senior customer success manager, and their entire job or that function, I just mentioned 5 people right there. That 5 people manages one very, very key and critical function of your business. So once you start think of what functions does my business need versus which VA do I need to hire, you start to expand endless possibilities of growth and scales because they're just Lego blocks of people that you start stacking in your team. And one thing that really helps you start to distill this and really start to see the matrix is the understanding that every business, no matter which business you're in, is made up of 3 and only 3 functions: marketing, operations, and finance. That's from a book called Traction, written by Mr. Gino Wickman, founder of the EOS Entrepreneur Operating System. These are really, really high advanced tactics that COOs, VP of operations use to run businesses. But as a business owner, you just need to understand 3 things: marketing, operations, finance. Anything you do in your business falls into one of these 3 categories. You can have multiple teams or functions in those 3 departments, but those are the 3 departments that every business has to have as a science.
What was the book called and who is it by?
It's called Traction by Mr. Gino Wickman. That's G-N or G-E-N-O, Wickman with a W, Wickman.
Nice.
Fantastic book. If you're scaling your business, that's going to open up your, it's super complicated. If you're under $3 million, read the book, but don't try to implement it. Get your marketing, get your team right. Then implement that.
Amazing. So today's podcast is titled "Hiring a $300,000 COO for $60,000 per year."
Yeah.
So tell us about how that works and how hiring a top tier talent at a fraction of the cost works.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. So if you were to hire a COO, a chief operations officer, somebody who's an executive level leader, that's somebody who's going to strategize and say, hey, okay, we have this factory, we have these suppliers. How do we make that work to maximize our profit, minimize churn, minimize waste, all that stuff? Someone's going to strategize that in the United States. That person minimum is going to cost you $300,000. That doesn't include their bonus. That doesn't include their health insurance, their vacation, their company car, their company cell phone, their expenses, payroll taxes, unemployment insurance. People who pay payroll taxes and unemployment insurance, they love me because what I'm about to share with you guys right now. So that's how much that person costs in the United States. That's for an average COO in the United States. Now, that same exact pedigree you can find overseas, and we actually hired the COO of Argentina, of a very popular soft drink company. So not Coke, the other one. That guy costs $60,000 a year, $5,000 a month. Let me say that again. If you were to hire a CEO in the United States, you're going to be paying 25 grand a month plus all the extras, really like 30, 32, 34. If you're in California, New York City, Chicago, you might be 35, 36, 37 with all the compliance fees you have to pay. That same person overseas costs you 5 grand a month. And they're coming from a Fortune 50 company. A company that you walk into any grocery store and you see their product on the shelves. Another example that I have, and I'll go back to this COO, but we had a marketing agency in New York. They were a very, very boutique. They were looking for a creative director. They were offering $800,000 a year for a salary for a very, very specific creative director. They couldn't find anybody that met their criteria. So we ended up finding them the creative director from Coca-Cola in Africa. That person also, he cost $75,000. This guy's world class. He cost $75,000 a year. So the guy who was responsible for the approval of the polar bear commercials in Africa, that guy was $75,000 a year versus paying an American 800 grand. This person saved over $725,000 by making this hire, and they got somebody who was way more skilled than that person that they could ever find in the United States. So that's the power of outsourcing, that and going to that level and bringing those very, very qualified people. Going back to the COO, the people who are COOs, they don't have to be from a huge company. You could find somebody from, so there's Uber or Postmates or those delivery apps. In every market, there is a competitor. So for example, in Latin America, the Uber here is called Rappi, for rápido, for really fast. So that's what the Uber is. And so, I'm sorry, the Postmates or Uber Eats. So that's what that is. You could steal their COO for the same price. That's what they pay. Also, Uber themselves, Uber Eats, Postmates, when they come into other markets, they hire and find these people that are already launching these markets with these kinds of people. You could steal them. Now, are they going to go with you? That's another story. That's like our episode number 6, number 9 that we do together, because how do you build a brand that's actually going to attract these kinds of people? Because if they don't see career growth potential, dude, you can't compete with Uber. You can't compete with Google. You can't compete with Coca-Cola. You can't compete with all these companies if you just have, oh yeah, man, we do 6 figures. Dude, they don't. These guys do 6 billion last week. What are you doing?
So how okay. So yeah, and that's a question. I don't know if we can do it on the next one, but that's what, how you said how to build a brand that attracts these A-list people. It's like, why would these people from Coca-Cola or Uber even leave if they're getting paid way more? I don't understand that.
So they're actually not getting paid more. You're paying them the same. They're getting paid the exact same.
Oh, okay.
It's the market. It's the market rate. It's the market rate, and that's another thing we can talk about maybe in one of our private seminars on how you're probably overpaying. You're for sure overpaying your VAs, but you're probably overpaying for the more senior talent for sure. So it's not really you're going to pay them. They're going to get paid more. It's that the career growth, most companies can't compete. However, one of the things that we do, and this is one of our, if you stayed here and for this interview for the 45 minutes to get to this point, this is a nugget that we have. One of the things that I love to go after is I love to go after women, because women in these countries, unfortunately, they don't get promoted because they're stuck in the 1920s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. I don't care what you look like. I don't care your genders. I don't care your pronouns. I don't care if you got the skill and you can do the job. Let's go. Vámonos. Let's go, baby. Let's get this job done. So, but in those countries, sometimes there's a lot of that old school machismo, whatever you want to call that. It limits certain growth for certain people. So you could ideally find somebody who's got the talent. And I like to look at the perpetual mid-level manager. So they had a great, I look at the resume. I look at the entry level. Okay, you did 3 years at entry level. Then you got to supervisor. You were there 3 years. Then you got to the mid-level. Then you're there for 20 years. Why did you never make it to the senior mid level or the senior level? Or is it like, what's going on there? You obviously have the experience, and I know the answer. They're not going to tell me the answer, but I just want to hear what they say. And then I ask them very, very technical questions, or actually our recruiters do that now at our firm, to find out, okay, like, do you have the skills? And then if so, like, how can we bring you into our business? So those are some kind of things. But even then, even if you pay them more, they're like, oh man, Frank Salas marketing agency, you guys only did 3 million last year. Oh man, like these guys just did 3 million today before noon. That's really hard for me to leave that. So you have to really start to paint the picture of like, hey, you're not going to be, the operations manager. You're going to be the junior VP of operations for the next 2 years. Then after that, you're going to be the VP of operations for 3 years. Then after that, you're going to be the senior VP of operations for the next 3 years. At each little point, you're going to get a 10 to 20% raise for an aggressive growth career in your business. So now you're offering them not more money, but more growth, more potential, more seniority, more experience, more responsibility. And then don't ever offer equity to employees, man. Like if you've already got a part of market, a lot of people, I want to cut them in. They should participate in the success. Hey, when you exit and you feel good, throw them a couple grand. They'll love it. Don't give them any equity, dude. That's gonna mess up your deals.
So good. Oh my gosh. I mean, I think you said it really well. When you're trying to attract these A-list players, is when they're stuck, when they're miserable, and unfortunately, if they're female, stuck in the 1920s, that are not getting promotions, that are getting overlooked, that are undervalued at the table, that are not even invited to the table. You can sell them on the future, which is growth, potential, responsibility, and also even increase with time, right? So that's a win-win. So that makes complete sense to me. I love this. We're gonna have to do a part 2, but to kind of go to a pivot, like traveling in the world as an entrepreneur. You said offline that you are in 4 places, and that was mind-boggling to me because like I'm married, I have 3 kids, and that's not an excuse. It's just that's home for me, right? And you're single and you don't have kids yet, but you have the opportunity to be a digital nomad. Tell us about your experiences. Tell us about where you go or live and what you've learned along the way.
Yeah, just another clarification is I've recently transitioned from the digital nomad to more of an expat entrepreneur. And I'll tell you why. Digital nomads are kind of broke most of the time. An expat entrepreneur's got a little backing financially behind them. And I'm at the point in my career where I deserve to have that distinction, especially with my 4th exit. And that's not it's more of a mindset for me, because I want to play that game. I want to play the wealth game versus being a digital nomad. We're trying to get things cheap. I love a good deal. I'm extremely frugal. However, I don't want to live and die by being cheap or anything like that. So with that being said, I currently have 4 official home bases. I have 2 residencies. I have 2 citizenships, and I am on a mission to have 12 to 15 home bases on planet Earth. Will I have residencies? Will I have citizenships there? Probably not. But I want to have little places where I can hang out and have a good time. So I've lived in over 30 countries, and I'm talking about gym membership, grocery card, SIM card, all that. I actually live there in that lifestyle. So for me, it's really awesome to have that freedom of being able to travel the world, run my businesses. I also have an international recruiting firm, so I host events, and my business aligns with my values. I don't recommend it for anybody but me to live this life, because when you're running around the world, you lose flights. Like I actually, in the next 45 days, I just got an emergency passport today. I have to go pick it up in about 34 minutes right now. And that is giving me more problems because now I can't get into one of my countries where I have residencies that I have to be there every 6 months because they don't accept they don't accept emergency passports. So now I got to go back to the United States, get a real passport, all within the span of like 20 days, and like plead my case to all these people. And now they want a second ID, but I don't have an ID because I don't need an ID because I'm not in that country. So it's like all these little things that I got to deal with that I don't recommend for you. But for me, I really like it, and I love the adventure. I don't like where America's heading. For me, America is on a decline. America is not what it was when I was growing up in the 80s and the 90s or the early 2000s. America's a great place. I love being from America. I love being raised in America. But now that I have the choice to be an expat entrepreneur and be anywhere in the world that I want, I like to go back home for Christmas, Thanksgiving, couple birthdays, see my clients, some events. So Dallas Cowboys games, Dallas Mavs. I'm a Texas Rangers, Dallas Stars. I'm a huge Dallas everything sports guy. So for me, that's cool. I like to go have those adventures. But if you live outside the United States as an expat entrepreneur or even a digital nomad for 360 days or 330 days, I'm sorry, you actually qualify for the FEIE. That's the Foreign Earned Income Exclusion. That means that your first $130,000 in this year, 2025, are 100% tax-free. Now, you still have to pay a self-employment tax unless you do other things, which I won't mention on this podcast because I'm not a financial professional. I'm not licensed, but I do help my clients get this set up if they decide to live this crazy lifestyle that qualifies you for certain things to save that 15.3 self-employment tax. If that's something you feel like you want to do, we can have a conversation about that. But that's what that is. If you're married, that doubles up. So if you're married, that would be 260,000 tax exempt. It's not tax free, it's tax exempt. And if you're from a place where you have a state tax, you still got to pay the state tax because it's only at the federal level. And then if you're self-employed or you have a business and you're not structured properly, which is not my which I can't go into on this call, and I don't want to because I'm not qualified to have conversation on a public forum like this. Then you would still have to pay self-employment tax of 15.3%, even if it's corp and you have all that stuff. Yes, you still got to pay that because it's not the 15.3. You still got to pay another thing. But there's a way to make that to where it's 100% tax exempt, and then you could run a lot of investments through real estate, stuff like that, to really minimize your tax exposure. So, not a financial planner. I've had people come to me on 4 different continents and at the airport and say, "Frank, I paid taxes because I had a penalty because of you." It's like, yo, dude, number one, you never hired me to work with you at this. So, and I always have these huge disclaimers: don't do what I do unless you work with me or with a financial professional, because I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about myself, and in general, every person's situation is completely unique. Don't come up to the airport saying how you had to pay taxes or you got audited. I'm not giving you financial advice right now. I'm just talking about possibilities.
And speaking of possibilities, if you guys are looking to learn more, you guys can go to www.franksalisjr.com. This podcast was entitled "How to Hire a $300,000 CEO for 60K: Outsourcing Secrets," and just being able to get to know you for the first time and hear you both offline and on this call. I know that there's so much more under the hood to scale smart, not hard, to know where to source things, to pay you $5,000 an hour just for, the secrets so that they can implement. And then having you implement them is coming alongside their business to help them really go to another level that they could never maybe have even dreamed of or imagined. I have a lightning round because I want to respect your time, and you need to pick up your emergency passport, which is a kind of like a 1-minute fun and quick fire questions. Whatever comes to your mind, just react to it. It's kind of like a game show, lightning round. So you've been to a lot of places, you lived in a lot of countries. So this is going to be a perfect segue for your favorite travel spot and why.
Oh, okay. Travel spot, man. Okay. So my life is a travel, but if I want to go there just for vacation, I'm going to say Isla Mujeres. Man, I hate saying this because now you're going to go. Isla Mujeres in Mexico. It's just north of Cancun. You have to go on a ferry. It's got the most beautiful beaches in the entire world, man. Isla Mujeres.
Oh, well, I never heard of it. So see, there you go.
Yeah.
Now it's going to become a place that you don't want to go because it's going to be saturated. People. Okay. Time zone hacks, because you are traveling all over the place, managing global teams, means working across multiple time zones. What's your secret to making that work without getting overwhelmed by the time zone schedules?
Everybody, the founder, myself included, has to adhere to the home HQ time zone. You decide as a company, what is your HQ time zone? This is it. When I'm in Japan, bro, dude, Jay, I'm in Japan. I'm 18 hours ahead. I'm up at 3 in the morning, taking freaking phone calls, sales calls, being on the meetings, because that's the company time zone.
And what's your time zone?
Ours is Texas.
Okay. So that's, is that CST?
Yeah, CST.
Okay. Like 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, or what do you?
Ours is actually 7 to 12, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. That's like our core staff. Like, but we have coverage for most. I think we're 5 days a week, 24 hours a day, and then, or I'm sorry, 5 days a week, no, 6 days a week, 18 hours a day.
Okay, that's a lot of coverage.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Most memorable entrepreneurial moment, not including the helicopter one. I don't know if that's an entrepreneurial moment. It's definitely a life moment. Aha moment that you had while building your businesses.
Yeah, so it's my very first business. I had a product market fit. It was spray tan. It was very unique back in the day, back before Kim Kardashian was making spray tans famous. I went to a bank manager to get a loan, and I was like a kid. I literally had no credit, not even a credit card. And he was a sharp guy, and he ended up outside of the bank coming to my business to learn more about my business as a private investor, acting like he was going to invest. He learned everything about my business, made me a very horrible offer, and then became my competitor overnight. And that taught me, hey, have these guys sign NDA documents. Don't give people your secrets. And some people aren't trying to help you. Like, I'm a kid from Texas, and in Texas, when you say something, it means something. At least it did back when I was coming up. And this was, in the late 2000s, whenever I had this interaction. This guy's name is Mike Elaine from Viewpoint Bank in Colleyville, Texas. If you're watching this, fuck you, bro.
Wow, that's insane, bro. So you shared it and he stole it.
Yeah. And then you know what? He ended up calling me again in a couple of months because it failed, or he wanted to exit, and he wanted to sell me his clientele, or his clientele. And I was so emotional that I didn't take it, but I probably should have took him up on it. And he taught me. And actually, I say F you and Jess. Like, I actually really appreciate this guy because he taught me so much about business. I was so emotional about it. I'm probably even still a little emotional about it because I was like, little baby Frankie was hurt, but like, he taught me so much about business by wronging me.
Interesting. So, emotions aside, it would have been made more sense and impact and money wise to even buy his book of business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It would, it possibly, and I don't know the details. Were they in the same zip code? Were they in the same serviceable area? Were they used to the same price point as ours? Because ours are premium, his wasn't. So
Right.
I don't know.
Okay. Books or podcasts while you're on the go, because you travel a lot. Which one do you prefer, books or podcasts? If so, which ones?
When I'm on the go, I like to unplug, man, because I go so hard. I like to, and I know this is like counter hustle culture, but man, I got my tablet. I loaded up with like videos. I have to take about approximately 30-ish, 35 hours of flights in the next 6 weeks. So I've got a bunch of content on here, man. And then I'm gonna just watch some videos.
Like movies to watch?
I like more series because it's like more sequential. But yeah, series.
Okay, nice. What's your go-to series now?
My go-to series always has been Dragon Ball, so I watch whatever Dragon Ball, whether it's Dragon Ball Z, GT. I'll
have like
cycle through
hundreds
those.
of episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now on this trip, I'm going to be watching Daredevil with the new one that just came out. So
Is there a new one? Okay, I didn't know
there's
there
a
was a
new
new
one.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So and then I have like my baby sister. I have her like scout different animes for me to be which one's worth the while. And then if it's good, I give her a couple dollars. So she's like my film critic, my anime critic.
Have you watched One Man Punch?
No. Is it good?
That's who you are. Well, my son watched it. He loves it. It's not an anime. I think it's based on an anime, but there's also a real version of it that my son likes. But you're the One Man Punch because you're that helicopter guy, right?
That's me, man.
Because you're also, and I gotta let you go. The record labels, your go-to motivation song. Because if you're in the music industry, and someone who's built in different industries, multiple industries, including the record label, favorite song
For motivation?
Yeah.
There's a song by this guy called Maino, M-A-I-N-O, and it's called All of the Above. And it's got T-Pain on the hook, which is cool, but it's basically talking about like the struggles of just like coming up, the struggles of like getting on there. And although it's really hard for me to find like struggles outside of, oh my God, I crashed in a helicopter. What struggle? Dude, I was in a helicopter. That's pretty baller being a helicopter. You know, so I really find it hard nowadays to connect with the struggle, but that energy, that vibe, that mindset for me, because I come from very humble beginnings and my first initial businesses were really tough to get launched. It really connects me to that spirit. And it's something where I was like, yeah, man, like I'm hungry, but I will never be as hungry as I was at those days. Cause you know, no matter when you start to get a little taste of, you know, some type of achievement, you just, it's not the same, man. You have to like work at it. I have to literally put my mindset like, okay, man, so back in my first business, I didn't eat but once a day for the first 6 months, and then the months 6, 7, and 8, I ate every other day because I couldn't afford it. And so like now to simulate that, I will force myself to have to do tasks in order to earn the right to eat.
Wow,
but it's not the same. You know, it's not the same.
You don't have the same drive. It's not the same hunger.
Yeah, it's not the same. So I try to simulate it, but it's just like, it's not there. And if I wish I could get that, man, it'd be great.
Well, this was an absolute treat, Frank, and I am blessed to know another brother from the same, from a different mother from the same father, and to actually be able to tell your story and show that video of the helicopter crash. If you guys haven't seen it, you guys got to go back to the beginning. That's where it all started. And bookends, you know, this guy is the guy to go for scaling. If you're looking for outsourced talent and scaling, go to www.franksalasjr.com. If you want to message Frank, you can go to him on Facebook. You can go to him on LinkedIn. You can go to him on Instagram and on LinkedIn. And here at Sales Ninja Show podcast, if you are a 7-figure entrepreneur or more, comment podcast and we'll get you on the show to share your story just like Frank did so amazingly. And thank you so much for tuning into the Sales Ninja Show podcast, where we're here to help you to sell more, to give more. Thank you so much, Frank, once again. And we'll see you guys in the next show. Take care, guys.